Welcome agents. Today's state of the game was a little short, but we got some news on the raid difficulty changes along with bug fixes for title update 3.1 and a tiny bit of news about title update 4. Now I want to break all of it down in this video and talk about some other Division 2 related news. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below, subscribe for dedicated Division content and turn on notifications to never miss a video. With that said, let's do this. Okay, so today Hamish sat down with community developer Chris Gansler. Now the first thing to be confirmed and something I'm very happy about is that the world's first portrait in the base of operations will be available for each platform, meaning if you're on Xbox, it's the Xbox world's first, PS4 will be the PS4 world's first, PC will be PC. Now I think this is something the community had been asking for and something the devs had actually confirmed prior to this state of the game, but it's something I'm very glad the devs will be implementing. Now the devs went on to confirm there will be one portrait for 25 raids. Of course, they denied there would be 25 raids, and I'm sure there won't be anywhere near this many. I think so far they've confirmed possibly 3 or 5 raids, but I could also be wrong about that too. I think they were just using it for the purposes of trying to explain their point. Now, the maintenance tomorrow will not go ahead as well in the normal fashion. Instead of the servers going down at 9:30 for 3 hours like they normally do, the devs confirmed that they have some big bug fixes that they want to include during this maintenance, but they are not ready yet. And they'll keep us informed on Twitter of when the maintenance will go live, and they hope it can be reduced down to just the 1 hour of maintenance rather than the normal 3 hours. Now the fixes they mentioned were the bug stopping players from advancing to World Tier 5 after completing Tidal Basin, and the arm patch bug for completing the raid. Now the devs confirmed you could beat the raid and not get the arm patch if certain conditions were not met. So a fix will be coming tomorrow for this, and anyone who has already done the raid will get the patch if this affected them. Next up, the devs went on to answer the $1 million question that me and everyone is asking right now. Are they going to change the raid difficulty, and if so, how? Well, for anyone hoping for a yes and this is how, I'm sorry, but the devs confirmed they have no plans to change the raid difficulty right now. This is what they had to say about the subject.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
There is usually a maintenance tomorrow. What's happening with that? Because it might be different.
Yes. First, before I jump to tomorrow, I just want to say one thing, because we've heard rumors about us changing the raid difficulty. There's currently no plans to change that. Again, as you pointed out, we know the raid is a little harder on, well, not a little harder. It's harder on consoles, that not put any ejectors on that. But we are happy with where we're at. We've seen multiple people clear it. And I've seen people take a message from Johan saying like, oh, you know, the door is open for changes. We're always open to changes. We know that the dev team is very passionate about the game. If the community is like giving us the feedback that something is not how they like it, we're not afraid to do changes. At the moment though, for the raid specifically, we don't plan any balance changes right now.
Make it harder.
I mean, maybe.
The last few videos I've done, I spoke about my opinion with this, so I'm not going to reiterate it again here, but I would like to hear your feedback again in the comments. Now moving on, and the devs talked about the next title update 3.1, which will be a sort of bug fixing patch. Their top priority bug, which is a new bug, is the NPCs being too aggressive, rushing behind players and basically moving like the Flash. Now the devs confirmed a similar bug causing the same issues in the last update was patched, and this is actually a new one that got past the PTS and in-house. The devs are not happy about this at all. I want to get this fixed for title update 3.1, which, by the way, has not been confirmed as a release date yet. They don't have a release date yet, if that makes sense, but will likely be in the next sort of 2 to 4 weeks. Now, other bugs to be fixed with this update include the Black Tusk Commander Mask being too small, the loot as junk option being disabled, and the semi-auto rifle rate of fire bug. There is also the invisible weapon bug and weapons not doing any damage bug, which they hope will be included with this update as well, but no confirmation on those yet. They're still being worked on. Now lastly, for the bugs, while it's not really a bug but more of a quality of life change, the C4 on Roosevelt Island spawns randomly in the containers at the end of the mission, and each container has 2 sides. A lot of people assumed that they spawned in the same place on just the one side, but that's actually not the case. It's working as intended, but they want to make it easier to identify, so a change will likely be made with the release of title update 3.1. Following this, the devs went on to just touch upon title update 4, which will be the next sort of big content drop patch. No confirmation of release date yet or any sort of release month or window, but they confirmed the 4th specialization will be coming, and I'm going to assume that will be when the Year 1 episode, the first one, will be coming out, which I believe is Outskirts DC. I believe it's something like that. Can't remember exactly. Now, most people by now know the minigun is coming, which is what the devs hinted at, but they also said it could be something else, and this might come later. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. They confirmed that before this update were to go live, they will be having a PTS to help make sure it comes out in the best possible shape. Now, all I have to say on this subject is there is plenty of time from now to when this will come out for the devs to get this to Microsoft and Sony for certification. The devs have to make it happen for console players. Their excuse has always been that there's not enough time, it has to go through this long-ass process. Well, there's plenty of times now, so I really hope the devs make it happen for us console players, so we have the opportunity to provide feedback on the balancing, because it's quite clear that with Title Update 3, this was balanced for PC, and that makes sense when only they got the opportunity to provide the feedback. There should be no excuses this time around. What I want is just a fair PTS where console and PC can put all of their stuff for the devs, and then the devs can balance it appropriately. We want our say, so let's hope the devs do it this time around. Now, that was it for the state of the game, and I'm a little bit surprised it didn't address the raid matchmaking, if I'm being honest. The devs confirmed this is something they are working on in the special report stream before the raid dropped, but people want to be updated. Missing a week like this and not talking about it, people are going to start talking. I think the matchmaking is far more important, a lot more important at this moment in time than the raid difficulty right now, along with the raid group size of 8 as well. Again, I think that's a big problem, or at least something that people are talking about. Matchmaking for sure is the biggest problem right now, because people generally, most people just haven't been able to play the raid at all, and even if it is too hard, people just want to have an opportunity to play it at this point in time, and then we can figure out raid difficulty later. Now, other things I would have liked for them to discuss, but they didn't, with a lack of diversity in the raid, because it's currently just sort of a DPS check for every encounter and offers very little ass in the way of very little else, not ass, in the way of build diversity. They did mention, of course, that what they've done in this raid, they'll take into the next raid with all feedback. So what I'm expecting is no changes with this raid in respect of diversity. The raid is what it is. It is a DPS check, and that's not going to change. But with that said, I hope that they make these changes for the next raid and the next raid after that, so that we do get build diversity, and the only way they can do this is by changing the mechanics in the game. Before the raid actually came out, there was a massive data mine leak, some of that I actually put on my channel, and we know now that pretty much everything in that was not in the raid, so either it was cut out or it just simply was false. But there was some stuff in that which was really cool, like protecting. You'd have someone that was sort of marked and you'd have to protect them. You could have one where, where you'd have to sort of protect a civilian, or there was just stuff where you have to protect people. There was loads of different mechanics. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, but there's a lot of different mechanics that you could look at and go, yes, I could have a healer build here or a tank build, and that would be good for that, or I could have a skill build here, or, in this situation we are going to need DPS players. So to have that not in this raid was a little bit underwhelming, and this is something I'm probably going to address in a video when I talk about the raid in more detail. But so let's hope that this lack of diversity and all this sort of stuff will be coming with the next raid. I'm sure it will, but I wish they would have just talked about it a little bit. But maybe next week they'll talk about matchmaking, diversity and build diversity and all of that stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. So moving away from today's state of the game, I saw a tweet earlier when I was walking home from work from a PS4 team that had managed to beat the raid in 48 minutes. I wasn't actually able to screen grab it, but if I can find the tweet, I will include it in this video. The PC record as of right now is down to just 20 minutes, I believe. It's these sort of records that are very, very impressive. Of course, some of that I could never do, but they also encourage the devs not to make any changes to the raid difficulty, which in some ways is good, some ways it's bad. I do think that console needs to have some adjustments just to make it a little bit easier, because it's good that these teams are doing it, but it only represents about 1% of the entire player base who will have an opportunity to even do these, or even have a chance to do these. So I've seen some suggestions on my videos before, talking about having a normal and a hard mode, which could work, I guess. There's obviously loads of other ways it could be done. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I'm pretty sure the devs will make changes at some point, just not yet, obviously. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end, and thank you very much for all of the support on all of my videos. Of course, I will be bringing out more videos as I always do. If you do have any videos that you want me to cover, any topics you want me to cover for the Division 2, then of course leave them down below in the comments. With that said, until the next one, Epic out.